What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I decided to bring it out in the living room here just to get a little Christmas spirit in the video. Alright, so listen, don't even think about it. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you would. If you like the take of a guy who is an old head who's been watching the UFC since 1993 and can still rock a flower jacket like this, you probably want to hit that subscribe button. I'm your guy. Okay? Flower jacket aside, UFC's my thing. I watch all of the UFC fight nights. I watch all of the pay-per-views. I have done this ever since the sport first started in 1993. That makes me 48 years old. I first discovered the sport as a 17-year-old kid, a junior in high school. I've been hooked ever since. Okay, so if you want a long-term sort of sport growth and evolution sort of objective perspective, then I'm your guy. So again, please hit the subscribe button. All right, as we know, Ilia Topuria is looking to go up to lightweight. All right, I do not begrudge this move. I think it is a good move for him. I understand the whole thing about having trouble cutting weight, getting down to the 145. He's a pretty stout young man, so I do not have any problem with him doing this. What I do have an issue with is who he's calling out. Obviously, he's calling out Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Now, I feel like this could be a mistake for a few reasons because Charles is currently ranked number 2. He's obviously not the champion, but I think Charles having 20 submissions inside the UFC could cause quite a few problems for Ilia Topuria as far as from a fight standpoint. Okay, but that's not why I'm here today. That's not why I'm here. I was looking around on Reddit, and I just got reminded really quickly of why you shouldn't look around on Reddit. So there was a comment on here. So Ilia Topuria said he wants to move to lightweight and fight Charles, but there may be a problem with the timeline there, okay? Because obviously, Ilia just fought Max recently. Charles just fought, okay? And very soon, we have the Islam versus Sarukian fight for the title, for the lightweight title, for Islam to defend his title, rather. Okay, so Charles is obviously next in line to get his second crack at the title against Islam after that. Okay, Ilia Topuria has gone on record saying we've seen his last fight at featherweight, so he's ready to make the move now, ASAP. Like, as in his next fight is supposed to be at lightweight. Okay, well, he can't fight Charles. The timeline's not going to work. Okay, because whatever happens between that Islam and Sarukian fight, Charles is going to get a second crack at either Islam or either Sarukian. Okay, he's fought both of those guys. Really, really, really close fight with Sarukian, by the way. Some circles thought that he won that. I wasn't really sure either. I didn't have a problem with them giving it to Sarukian, but I could have also seen how some judges would have given it to Charles Oliveira. I mean, Sarukian was on top more, basically, is what that fight boiled down to. But let me read you this comment, and then we're going to respond to it. So Ilia Topuria wants to move to lightweight and fight Charles Oliveira, but hear me out. Obviously, Ilia cannot fight Charles since Charles will be fighting for the belt after the winner of Arman and Islam. So what if Topuria fights Justin Gaethje winner, gets the next title shot? Justin is looking for a title, and Ilia wants the title, but neither have earned it. So this would be a banger fight. All right, let's talk about this, okay? Don't read Reddit because this is just a piss poor idea and a piss poor move. Now, I do see the dilemma here because the timeline doesn't work out for Ilia Topuria to really go straight in against Charles, okay? But Gaethje is not the guy. Now, listen, I'm going to sound like a Gagey hater, but I'm just going to say it the way it is. Okay. Gagey, I feel like, got pretty lucky against Dustin Poirier with that BMF belt. Okay. I feel like he landed that head kick. Now, listen, there's always a certain amount of skill, even in lucky kicks. Okay. So obviously he's good enough to get his leg up there, but that fight happens. I think Dustin beats Justin Gagey 8 out of 10 times. Okay. And Justin Gagey showed us in his fight against Max Holloway that he's not on that level that we think he is. Okay. Now, because of the shock factor and the way that fight ended, him getting taken to school the whole 5 rounds and then getting clipped and knocked unconscious with 1 second left in the fight, we kind of undeservingly put Max Holloway up on this huge pedestal thinking that he's just a world beater now, when in actuality, he lost 3 times to Volkanovski. He did win that fight against Gagey. Gagey gets drunk so much that his girlfriend has to carry him out of places. This is reported by numerous people, having seen Gagey in public getting so drunk that he's being carried out by his girlfriend. Like, do you think he was really fully prepared and ready for that Max Holloway fight? Either way, Max is better. Max took him to school, but we undeservingly put Max on this pedestal because of the shock factor of how that thing ended. And then we were all of a sudden, because Max is now this god sitting on this pedestal, or he's the next guy for Ilia Topuria. Yeah. And I know it made sense that he kind of would be anyway, but then people were kind of shocked when Ilia Topuria took Max to school. Okay? Max, now listen, I know MMA math doesn't work, but hear me out. Max took Justin Gagey to school in a huge way. He was steps ahead every second of that fight. Justin Gagey was never really in the fight. He never really had a chance because Max Holloway was always steps ahead. He's always more dynamic. Justin Gagey has 3 good techniques: the low kick, an overhand right, and a step in lead uppercut with guys that tend to come in with their head down for a shot. That's his 3 go-to moves. And if you get anyone that has any more than that in their arsenal, Justin Gagey tends to have trouble with them unless he lands a lucky head kick on somebody like Dustin Poirier. But we cannot put Justin Gagey in there against Ilia Topuria when Max Holloway schooled Justin Gagey, and then in his very next fight, Max Holloway gets schooled by Ilia Topuria. We're showing levels here, right? But then we're going to turn around and have Ilia Topuria's first fight at lightweight be Justin Gagey when Max Holloway ruined Justin Gagey in a 5 round fight, and then Max Holloway got ruined by Ilia and then finished in the fourth. Was it the fourth? Yeah, I can't even remember. I know it's almost unheard of that Max gets finished. I know he's finished, and it was towards the end of the fight. Either way, Justin Gagey will get destroyed by Ilia Topuria, guys. Okay? So here's my suggestion. Despite of the fact that when Gagey and Dustin Poirier fought last, Gagey won that fight, I vote that we give Dustin Poirier a shot at Ilia Topuria, because with the boxing prowess of Dustin Poirier, I think he would be a much better, much more fun, much more even fight with the boxing heavy Ilia Topuria. I think that's the way we need to go. I'm casting in my vote right now for why Dustin Poirier needs to be Ilia Topuria's first fight at lightweight. And the timelines would line up a little better as well. Because really, the only other people you have in there, you got Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker's at number 6. Ilia Topuria has been so dominant so far, you can't give him the number 6 guy. That's an insult to him. You know, Charles Oliveira, the timeline doesn't line up, and it's for a whole nother video. But I think he's making a mistake in calling out Charles Oliveira, because I think Ilia Topuria loses to Charles Oliveira. Sure do. I sure do. Again, that's for another video. It may be a hot take, but I believe that certain people just have certain people's number at certain times in their careers. And I just think, as far as this time in his career, his first fight going up to lightweight, I don't think he should be fighting a grappling heavy guy like Charles Oliveira. I just don't. I think he will climb Topuria's back and choke him silly. That's exactly what I think. We need to put him in there with the guy who isn't going to want to take him down, is going to be cool with standing up and having a sweet boxing and kickboxing match with him. And it needs to be a guy that actually has boxing experience and a good boxing style. Dustin Poirier is trained by Dia Davis, who's actually a boxer, right? He's not an MMA boxer trainer. Dia Davis is boxing is in his blood, like the sport of boxing. So he really has Dustin Poirier right with his hands, okay? And I would say in the lightweight division, Dustin Poirier's boxing is, I would say, the best as of right now in that lightweight division. Now, of course, he's lost to people, but it wasn't through his boxing. There's not anyone that's outboxed him. That's for sure. He got caught at different times against Islam and stuff like that, but a lot of that was the Khabib Conor effect. You know how Conor threw that overhand, Khabib, threw that overhand right at Conor, and Conor's just standing there with his hands down when it happened because he's waiting for the shot from Khabib. That's the thing about these wrestlers and these Dagestani Sambo guys. They're constantly feinting that shot, and they're so dangerous there that it keeps people always thinking, cycling over and over in their head. The shot's coming, the shot's coming, the shot's coming. And then the one time that it doesn't come, they'll come over the top with the right hand, catching him with his hands down, unprepared, right? So that's a little bit of what was happening in the Dustin Islam fight. All credit to Islam. Islam is levels above what Khabib was in his striking. Don't get me wrong. Islam's a great striker as well as a ground specialist. But point being, as far as who Ilia Topuria should face in their first fight back, can't be Charles because the timeline doesn't line up. Plus, I don't think that's a smart move for him. I think he loses to Charles, just to be completely honest. I know it's hard for people to understand it. Somebody 16-0, you've never seen them lose. It's hard for them to imagine them losing, but it happens. And there's always someone out there who is better at a particular time for a particular reason. And we saw that with Ian Gary this past weekend. He was 15-0. I had people, comment on some of my videos. Oh, Ian Gary's going to kill Shavkat. People just couldn't see him losing. They can't imagine it because he never has, right? But somebody's O has to go, and there's very few people that get out of the sport completely unscathed and completely undefeated, okay? And I'm not saying Ilia Topuria won't be there, but I think the fight for him, the first fight for him, should be Dustin Poirier. The boxing's there. It's going to be a sweet stand-up match. I think if he gets thrown at Justin Gaethje, I think it's not even a fair fight. I know MMA math doesn't work, but Justin Gaethje is too simple in his style to go up against a dynamic striker and a technical dynamic striker like Ilia Topuria. Justin Gaethje would get worked. He would get dog walked in a fight against Ilia Topuria. Okay? And if it can't be Charles, can't be Justin, I say it should be Dustin Poirier against Ilia Topuria. I don't know, maybe sometime March. March, April, something like that. Let me know what you guys think. This is my take on it. I believe Charles is not the right call out for him. I know why he did it. I see why he did it. You know, Charles had a dominant performance over Michael Chandler a couple of weeks ago, which, again, looking at that now, he looked great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that that is going to age all that well in the future. Chandler, you know, sitting out, jock sniffing Conor McGregor for 2 years. I think that we saw ring rust. I think you saw a little bit of his age starting to tell on him. Plus, Charles is just a better fighter. So he got taken to school by a better fighter, but I think Michael Chandler was also a little bit ill prepared for that fight, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, just by virtue of having sat out for so long, hoping, you know, jerking off to that Conor match, thinking about that Conor. You know, I know that was really uncalled for me to do that just then. But let me know what you guys think. Dustin Poirier. Let's go. Dustin Poirier, Ilia Topuria, March, April. That's what I'm going with. That would be a sick fight. A sick fight. All right, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you would. Like the video, comment down below, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one.